question.
We will all sing Jai Radha Madhav first before we begin discussion. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava first. Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Yashodhanandana Braja Janara Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Ratira Vanachari Ratira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna I guess we are hearing a lot of echo. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Madhava, Kunja Bihari.
So before discussing Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the chapter summary, I would like to pray to all the acharyas and to the Supreme Lord so he could guide us and give us direction to understand his शलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् नमामि विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम रामा हरे हरे. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Good morning to everyone. I would love if you all have your Bhagavad Gita book, because that will help us also as we are doing the chapter summary. So you can also refer if we have our book, and if you have a highlighter or you have another book that you want to write it down something, then you can have some notes too. Helped me whenever I sat in for a class. So if I write down some things that I understood or I have questions on a long run, it has always been very helpful to me. And I'm very thrilled that many of you, every day that you read Bhagavad Gita 9:15, so and you have completed chapter 1 in that reading too. So that must be like fresh in memory. So the first chapter is called Observing the Armies on the Battlefield. And as soon as you see this picture, you could see Arjuna with a hand on his forehead. Oh my Krishna, what is all this happening? So it's also called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So he's in big confusion now. He's like, what is all this, Krishna? So let's see what's the confusion happening here. So the first verse, who would like to read? I would love to hear Avyukt. It's been that I haven't heard from him. Avyukt, can you read that for me?
Dhritarashtra Uvacha Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra Samaveda Yutsavaha Mamaka Pandavascheva Kimakurvata Sanjaya.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm so happy that you all remember the verses, kids. So I'm waiting that once we all can come together and learn together too. So till then, we will do all on this online platform. So the first verse itself, it's about Dhritarashtra Uvacha. And it is said in all of these 700 verses, there's only one verse that Dhritarashtra has spoken. And this is the first verse that Dhritarashtra has spoken. And he's having his doubt. And one side of the picture, you could see that Vyasa, because Vyasadev gave benediction to Sanjaya, that sitting in the kingdom, he could see what's happening in that field from there. So he was using that benediction or that so that he could help Dhritarashtra, who was blind physically. And in the purport, if you could read in detail when you would have read, it says that Dhritarashtra was not just blind physically, but also spiritually he was blind. Because if this is a time, actually, since it's a summary, it's also a reflection. If anybody would like to say, why was he blind spiritually? If anybody would like to reflect on that. because he was so attached. Oh, the word you can remember is attached. That attachment to his sons and his kingdom. So the first verse shows, yes, his attachment. Dhritarashtra itself is his name, he's attached to his sons and his kingdom, his family and his kingdom. So the whole main question for him is, oh, this place, this Kurukshetra is a place of holy place. So holy place means he knows that he is corrupt and his sons are also kind of not. So the place when it is very pious, it he's Dhritarashtra is worried about that he is what will be the outcome that now that the sons of Pandu and my sons have come to fight in this holy place, what will be the outcome? Because of the pious influence of this place, will my sons kind of get into a compromise with their cousins, and will they stop fighting? He is thinking in all these negative terms in a sense, which is not spiritually favorable. And all this is because of his attachment to his family and his kingdom. So one verse summarizes the feelings of Dhritarashtra very nicely, the first verse. So moving forward, I'm not going to go verse by verse because this is a summary. So I'm just only going to highlight and things that we can learn. So next verse will be 1.3, where first time now Duryodhana speaking. He's saying, who has a book, who can read the Sanskrit, like Ombir Prabhu's family? Would you like to give a try? 1.3, the Sanskrit and the English translation.
Sure, Mataji, let us point the verse. Do you want the Sanskrit, Mataji, or which
yes, one? The Sanskrit and the English.
Okay. Pashetam Panuputranam Acharya Mahitim Chamum Vyudham Drupad Putrena Bhavashishena Dhimata. O my teacher, behold a great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupad.
Okay, thank you so much. This is beautifully, you could see how Duryodhan, he is also kind of angry, and he's also kind of trying to move forward as how he wants to bring out the point that how your disciple, the son of Drupada, how he has arranged the military flanks, right? He's kind of taunting a little bit, like he's like, see, you did not discriminate teaching this military army to anyone and everyone. Now our opposite party, your own disciple, is arranged so nicely. And then he's like, whatever, let's move on. Like he doesn't want to discourage also first, but he's anger. Like when you're very attached, what happens is the anger actually comes because of attachment. So we will see this in the next chapter. What happens when we are very attached? When we are very attached to something, then Krishna says that how lust develops. Like because there is this nice verse in 2.62 and 2.63 in the next chapter where it says, Dhyayatan vishay, dhyayato vishayan pumsas sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho bijayate. While contemplating on the object of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. So what if you get angry, we can say. Then Krishna again says that, Krodhat bhavati sammohat sammohat smriti vibramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. From anger, delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool. So all this is started with attachment. So don't worry about, I said a lot, but this whole thing is in 2.62 and 2.63 in your Bhagavad Gita. So in that, in the book, you could find whatever I said so far about how attachment leads to our falling back, how it progresses to us getting angry. And because of the anger, we fall down and our memory gets lost. Like when we are angry, no good words come and we can't have a clear thinking. That much we all have experience actually. We don't need to read Bhagavad Gita, we ourselves know that. So Krishna actually is telling that in steps for us to understand. So this is what has happened to Duryodhan, that he was so attached to that he wanted to win. He got angry when he saw the military flanks were so nicely arranged. So he's going.
Mataji, I think you've muted yourself.
Yeah, looks like I muted myself. Now I'm unmuted. Thank you. So yeah, the teacher, nobody speaks to a teacher in this way. Like nobody says what you did was wrong. We have always some respect to the teacher who has taught us. But Duryodhan got even angry with the teacher in the first way, the way he addresses him, because of his attachment to win and get that kingdom. Okay, so those are the things that we get to imbibe in our life. Okay, these are the life lessons that we are seeing, how we can apply it. So moving on to another part of seeing, I remember my husband, he gives beautiful stories to explain. I have numbers for you here. So here it says Akshohini. So one Akshohini, you see the bottom green part, one Akshohini means 2,108, 21,870 chariots. And elephants is 21,870 elephants, 65,610 horses with soldiers, and another big number of infantry soldiers. All this together forms one Akshohini. So like that, for Pandavas, they had 7, and for Kauravas, they had 11. So 7-11, you can remember that. So even the numbers, actually Duryodhan was big. Like he had 11 Akshohinis. And you could see how commander-in-chief, it was Drishtadyumna. That is why he's saying how Drupada's son, see Drishtadyumna, how nicely he has arranged. So that is Drishtadyumna. And here the commander-in-chief was Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Shalya. So all these people are more in number, like in comparison. Kauravas had all the big numbers there, like who were the Maharathis. There was only one Maharathi who can fight a big number, and that was only Arjun on Pandava's side. And you see the Kaurava side, they have a big number again, Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Ashwatthama, they all could fight. They were all those Maharathis. So even though Duryodhan, he knew that he had the big number and the greater, powerful superheroes on his side, just the first sight of something nice on the other side, he couldn't take it. He got upset right away. So sometimes we have a lot of things in our command and disposal, but when we see something nice, another person has it or is endowed with, it can be a quality or it can be a thing. But if we are attached, then we get angry when we see the other person having it. So this is the life lessons that we can take, that first, that contentment of what we have, we are thankful for what we have, being grateful. If that is there, then that anger, all that negative qualities in life will not affect us, like how it is affecting Duryodhan, even though he's having a lot on his side. Like he's not having any peace at this point. He's quite restless and angry, but he's very tactful. He knows how to speak too. So immediately he comes back to his senses, and he says that now everybody, let us all give full support to Bhishma so that he can do the right thing. He also glorifies, he knows to kind of balance it. Okay, so moving forward here to the next part. So after hearing all this flattery from Duryodhan, Bhishma Dev is very composed. He says, okay, let's start the war now. So Tasya Sanjayanam. Okay, I shouldn't be reading. I should ask Dr. Rajan's family, sir, in your family, if anybody would like to read that verse and the translation, please. This is 1.12. Yeah.
1.12?
Yes, 1.12.
Tasya Sanjayanam Harsam Kuru Vritya Tama Pidamaha Simha Nadam Minadiyo Che Sankam Tanu Pratipavavan. And Bhishma the Great Pratapavavan. Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly like the sound of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So Bhishma Dev being elderly and he was composed, he knew that Duryodhana is having a restless mind and he's angry, he just wants to win. So keeping all that in mind, he blew his conch shell to show that, okay, I'm ready to fight. I'm all composed, I'm on your side, don't worry. So he assured him by that. So this shows the maturity of elderly and who are composed. From Bhishma Dev, we can understand that sometimes like when we are young, we don't see the big picture, they say, right? So what does it mean to grow in age? Means with your experience and with those days, you're more composed. That's what is expected. Like sometimes when as young kids scream at the parents are not expected to scream back at the kids, but are expected to be very composed and see the situation and see to do the needful. That is possible only when you have a composed headset, mindset and head that's working, that's calm and composed. Yeah. So we can learn that from Bhishma Dev here. Even though he's agitated, and he's restlessly moving, Bhishma Dev is calm and he's moving forward for what he has come to start the fight. Okay, let's move on to next. So after this, there is blowing of conch shell on the other side. So who else would like to read? Urvashi ji, would you like to read by or Tamil Vanan sir, in your family, would anybody would like to read this verse?
Yeah, I don't know.
Tata. Or if anybody would like to give it a try.
I think we'll give it a try.
Okay.
Tata Svade higher yukte Mahadi Shantane Satitao Thou Madhava Pantava Chaiva Divyau Sanghau Paradat Mathu.
Pradat Matuhu. Pradat Matuhu. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Tamil Vanan, sir, in your family, any the English translation, Shanti? Tamil Vanan. Is it okay with the English translation? 113. I don't have it on my slide. If you have it on your book.
No problem. On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. So here the word transcendental is used for the Shankar, Divyam, even we say in Tamil, Divyau. So that word says it is transcendentally the conch shells were blown. The transcendental word is not used for when Bhishma Dev blew his conch shell. So that shows that everything that the Lord and he was using is very transcendental. That means it's beyond the modes of this material nature. So the verse itself is giving some indication, and let's see what that indication is. So next verse is from Arjuna Vacha, and this is, who would like to read this or I will read it and somebody could read the translation maybe, yeah, if it's hard with the Sanskrit part. Say it is first chapter 21 and 22 in your book. So I will read the Sanskrit and any of you could unmute and read the English translation. Okay. Arjuna Vacha Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Ratam Stapayamechyuta Yavad etan niriksheham yoddukhaman avastitan kairmaya saha yoddhavyam asmin rana samudhyame. So anybody would like to read English part?
Arjuna said, "O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms."
Thank you so much. So here the main part is there is both sides the Shankar has blown. You could see that both the sides, they are ready to fight. They have given the green signal. When you see the green, you can't sit and think at that time. You have to start driving the car. Like you have to get into the fight mode. But at that point, Arjuna is pressing this pause button. Like he said, I really want to take a break and take a look at what is happening. Like everything was planned. It's not that instantly, suddenly they came up with the war and it started. It's been for days and months and years. The problem with Duryodhana's family has been going on, but still when the real action scene came, Arjuna took a second to pause. So it is said that in our life, a lot of calamities will come because we are in this material world, a lot of challenges will come. But we pray to this verse that, oh, Arjuna and Krishna, please give us direction, that we may also take that small pause to reflect, so that only when we pause and reflect, we can analyze the situation. If not, if we immediately act, there can be always, it may not be the right thing because we are not calm and set yet to face the challenge that's coming right in front of us. So Arjuna is teaching us to always have a pause button in our life, with our words, with our actions, with our body language. We need to have that pause button, which helps us to reflect. So I also pray that all the tough situations when life throws upon us, I'm able to pause and turn to Krishna. Just pausing is not enough, but to reflect means to analyze and see, am I able to deal with the situation, or do I need help? Whom should I turn to for help? So here we see how Arjuna is now pausing and he's going to approach Krishna to ask what to do next. So moving on forward. So I have written only the English part. So I'm going to ask Samhita Mahadevan, are you able to read by any chance?
I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle. Nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any such blessing to kingdom or happiness.
Thank you, Samhita. That was so sweet. I'm going to read it one more time for clarity. I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. So now he's seeing that I don't feel any good about doing this act. So Arjuna is speaking what his heart is feeling. So we are also going to see, is that okay to feel that way? What is Krishna going to say after hearing this from Arjuna? So let's see further. So next verse is 1.46. I'm going to turn that to in my book. And Vinod's family, is there anyone who would like to read the verse and Sanskrit and the translation, if you're there?
Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
Thank you so much. He was so much overwhelmed with grief. This is a situation which is very grave, and he is feeling he's very helpless. So getting to know this deeply actually will help us, because we go through situations in life where our body and mind stops working and we don't know what to do next. So we have to analyze here a little bit more. So here's a nice flow chart. During our school days or college days, we always use flow charts to understand some things in as summary. So starting here, you could see as Gita chapter summary as introduction, preparation for war, 1 to 26 verses. So it's all about telling who is in the war, who is fighting, who has come, and all that. So I'm going to go down saying that next it separates into 3 parts, where there is introduction of the army commanders, and then Krishna and Arjuna blow their conches. Duryodhana's heart is shattered after hearing the sound after Krishna and Arjuna blows. But there is no mention of Arjuna's heart getting shattered or Pandava's heart getting shattered when Bhishma Dev and other people blew their conch shells. So the mention is very nice. And then the third point is Arjuna requests Krishna to draw the chariot between the armies. So in the brackets, there are verse numbers also. Which verse is talking about what? And then on the other purple side, if you could see Arjuna's doubts, now he's started getting doubts in his head. And there are 5 main reasons. They are categorized into 5 main reasons. The first one is compassion. Arjuna's change of mind leading to attachment. Like he's feeling compassion. Why should I kill them? They are my uncles, they are my aunts, they are my grandfathers, they are my paternal relationships. Everybody is there in front of me. Why should I kill? So there's compassion due to attachment. And the second one is enjoyment. It is said that the enjoyment of the result of winning the war is to have a nice kingdom. But Arjuna feels he won't be able to enjoy if relatives are dead. What's the point if you don't have any relatives, but you won the war, right? There's nobody to see that you have won. So next, third point is destruction of family. So he sees how all the religious functions, all the things will be stopped if so many men are dead. And then number 4 is he says saintlessness and fear of sinful reactions, like all this killing of Guru Hatya, which is very grave. He doesn't want to commit all these sinful activities of killing his own grandfather or his guru. And the last one is seeing all this, his points, he's indecision, which is better conquering or being conquered. He's feeling it's rather better I just submit myself and let them win. It's okay. They can win. I'm not attached to all these things. Like, I just don't want so much of havoc to happen in the family. So this is what Arjuna is feeling. Don't we all think that this is correct? Don't we all feel that this is right? Why even if a sane person put in that situation, we'll feel like, I'm fine. I let my opposite party win and move on with life. I am thankful with what I have. But now this is a situation where he's not able to take decision, and he's asking Krishna if this is okay. So asking okay or not, and how Krishna is going to help. So that's what we're going to see further. So in this slide, it's very nicely shows about how each, when the bodily symptoms of Arjuna, his limbs were quivering, his mouth was drying up, his whole body, it was trembling, and hair of the body, they were standing on end. Hands, Gandiva bow was slipping, and his skin was burning, his legs unstable to stand any longer due to impatience, forgetting myself and mind reeling due to weakness of heart, sees only the cause of misfortune. How nicely the symptoms are put up. So we have those symptoms, or some of us have gone through when trials have come in our life. At that time, I don't think we can think clearly. We have difficulty. So the situation is very grave. The whole thing about the summary is, if we understand how grave and what kind of difficulty Arjuna was in, only then we can appreciate how this manual can be of any help in our life. Because we think our problem is the biggest problem. But if we see what Arjuna was going through, it's vast and really, really bigger in picture, and in the gravity of the problem was really big, and his feelings was true from his heart. So being a real devotee, a devotee is very compassionate usually. Like when we are a devotee, means we want to be on a mode of goodness, like we want to be nice people on earth. So comparing to Duryodhana, he said just get up and kill. Arjuna is not feeling that. So he's being a nice devotee means there is compassion in the heart. So how come a devotee who is having compassion in the heart and wants to just leave this there and move on, and Krishna is going to, since we all know the story, Krishna is going to say him, get up and fight. How is it being logical, right? It doesn't make any sense when we think in terms of Arjuna, how he's feeling. So understanding this chapter, even though it's the first chapter, and just observing the armies, if we understand how grave the situation and the feelings of Arjuna is so real, only then we can appreciate how Krishna is going to help and how his answer really makes sense of asking Arjuna to fight. So let's move on. Analyzing further Arjuna's reasons. all the verse numbers are given. So Indraji's family, would anybody would like to read the first part, compassion? You have to unmute yourself if you are muted. Yeah. Would you like to, Indraji's family? If not, if anybody else would like to take a lead, and unmute yourself.
I can read.
Sure, please go ahead.
Compassion 1 to 27 to 1 to 28. Arjuna's reasons for not wishing to fight. Compassion first. Arjuna's compassion for those who he is about to slay
dictates.
Dictates. He shouldn't fight. He should not fight.
He shouldn't fight.
Not.
Enjoyment 1 to 31 to 35.
Yes.
Enjoyment. Arjuna thinks he will not able to enjoy his one at the cost of the lives of his family members. 1 to 37 to 1 to 43. Destruction of family. Irreligion and unwanted progeny will overcome the family. Performance of traditional Varnashrama oriented Vedic rituals will end, and hell will await both the family and the destroyer of the family. 1 to 44 to 45. 2.5. Saintliness and fear of sinful reactions. Arjuna thinks enjoying royal happiness is not worth the resulting sinful reactions for destroying their family and killing his superiors. Next one, 2.6. Indecision. Arjuna doesn't actually know which is better. I can't see that.
Yeah, which is
the
better.
enemy.
Yeah,
the enemy are being conquered by them.
Yes, thank you so much. Point here in the blue, if you could see, all that for everything, like for compassion, Krishna gives answer in the next chapter. That's how it is quoted. Bhagavad Gita 2.11 to 30. Lord Krishna refutes, and then enjoyment when he says, and then that is being refuted. Destruction of family, he is talking, and Krishna gives answer in the second chapter, and the third chapter, the verse. And saintliness, like all that feelings of Arjuna, Krishna addresses them. He just doesn't like, oh, now I told you to fight, so you better fight. He doesn't order and move on. He gives reason for it. So that's the very good friend, right? Like we don't want somebody ordering us, just do this, just do this. And most of the time we don't want to follow because we don't feel logically accepting it. Like we also have some intelligence and we want to understand it and then accept whatever is being proposed to us. So Krishna, and taking every point that Arjuna is asking questions, he's giving answers in those verses. So it is moving on in the second chapter. So you could note that down. So this is like a study, right? Since I said it's a summary study. So for those of you who would like to see that how Krishna exactly answers exactly for every feeling of Arjuna, you could check those verses in the Bhagavad Gita that you have. So we will share these slides also with you all on the email. So it's not that you have to rush writing, but we will share this whole information with you all. And we are so thankful when some devotee does a whole intense, in-depth study. So they are able to actually break down those verses and put them in perspective for us to get a clear picture. So moving forward. So now we have covered the whole chapter, like kind of seeing and understanding the verses. Now somebody tells us, now remember, just tell me what's happening in the Bhagavad Gita in the first chapter. Tell us without looking at the book. Tell us what this whole thing is all about, the first chapter. So here is an acronym. A very smart, very intelligent devotee, Sataputta Das, he has written this, doubt. Just one acronym, doubt. And let's see what that, this is a doubt in Arjuna's mind. So the first chapter you can remember as the doubt. And the first two letters, D and O, they stand for on the side of Duryodhana's side. So, and the U, B, and T, we will discuss about Arjuna's feelings. So now let's see what is D, O, U, B, and T. So D stands for Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. And he also quotes exactly the verses 1 to 12. I really love this summary because he did not leave out any words and come up with an acronym. So he used every verse in this chapter and he put them in the same order. And he came up with this acronym doubt. So D stands for Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. O stands for ominous result. U stands for uncertainty, B for bewilderment, and T for turning point. So we will go into detail of what the DOUBT is. So after this class or after this sharing, when you all think back about chapter 1, it should kind of run in your self, that doubt and how each letter stands for what. And that's what the whole chapter is about. Like sometimes we read a whole book, but we don't know what that whole thing was like. We move on, we get some things, but the whole picture we are not able to convey to another person when we meet someone. So this is an acronym that helps us do the summary. Huh? So first one is D, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana. Vinod sir's family, would anybody like to read what is Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana trying to say in this verse 1 and 2?
Dhritarashtra is asking questions to Sanjaya, who is gifted to see the whole war sitting in the palace of the king, about the influence of the sacred place of Kurukshetra and its effects on his sons. In the later verses, Duryodhana is busy getting his army enthused and ready to fight, where his focus is all about him and primarily interested in selfish gain and personal aggrandizement, and anxiety, frustration, and disappointment are inevitable.
So nicely summarized, right? Dhritarashtra's feelings and what is Duryodhana feeling, his attachment and his anxiety, frustration, and disappointment are all inevitable. So D stands for the feelings of Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana in the 1 to 12 verses. So moving on to the next is O, ominous result. So ominous means in the English word, that means like a bad omen or not a very pleasing result. So who is having this problem of ominous result? That is Duryodhana is feeling some bad ominous feeling. He's not feeling very happy there. He's only feeling the tension running in him that they may lose. So anybody from Varnan sir's family would like to read the O, number 2, ominous result?
Ominous results, verses 13 to 20. Despite Duryodhana's boastful words, the ominous result of this confrontation is made clear from the onset. So many signs of victory are seen, like Kurukshetra being a holy place, Madhava, Krishna is the husband of goddess of fortune on the Pandava side. Krishna and Arjuna's conchals is described as transcendental. Chariot given by Agni, capable of conquering all directions. Emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna's chariot.
Wonderful, thank you. So here, ominous results, all these good signs are all on the other side. So the signs of victory, they are called. So if we remember that this place of Kurukshetra, a holy place, Krishna is called as Madhava, that means he's the husband of the goddess of fortune, where the Lakshmi Devi is there, all victory happens. And we see that Arjuna and Krishna have transcendental conch shells being blown. And then we see the chariot of given by Agni, which is capable of conquering all directions, and having an emblem of Hanuman on the flag of Arjuna's chariot. So 5 signs that is mentioned in detail in this chapter, saying that, yes, they are the ones who are going to win. Okay, so moving on to the third is uncertainty. So this is the feeling that Arjuna's, now we have finished D and O for Duryodhana's side, moving on to U for uncertainty. Niranjan sir's family, would anybody like to read? Uncertainty.
Arjuna is still uncertain about fighting his opponents, who are also his relatives. He orders Krishna, who assumes the role of his charioteer, to drive to the middle of the battlefield so he can satisfy his curiosity.
Thank you so much. That was so beautifully read. So he's uncertain. So Arjuna is uncertain at this point. So 3, we covered Duryodhana, the omnious results, Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. Then O for omnious results and the victory signs on the other side, the Pandava side. And 3 is now Arjuna is feeling uncertain. So let's see. The next one is B for bewilderment. Who would like to read? Ombir Prabhu's family, would anybody like to read?
Bewilderment. Foreseeing the imminent suffering and death that is the inevitable consequence of war, Arjuna begins to analyze his predicament.
Thank you so much. Yes. So foreseeing the imminent suffering and death that is inevitable consequence of war. So he's just not jumping into fight. He's seeing the consequence. It's going to be very grave, deadly. So he's bewildered now. He's like, now everything has started, like the sirens have gone, the green light is on, and he's totally now seeing the real picture and he's bewildered. And we are moving on to number 5. That is the turning point. Whose turning point? Arjuna's turning point. So would Kanchan's family, anybody like to read? Or anyone on the call, if anybody else would like to read, you could unmute yourself and you could
I
read.
think I can read.
Sure.
Turning point 31 to 42. Arjuna justifies his decision to retreat from fighting based on A, it would be cruel and heartless to prematurely terminate the lives of so many soldiers. B, even an unrivaled kingdom would bring no happiness, since he had to be bereft of the company of his near and dear ones. C, one would surely accrue bad karma as a result of such brutal violence. D, the wholesale killing involved would destroy the family unit and social structure, causing havoc for future generations. Thus, his mind overwhelmed by grief, Arjuna sets aside his bow and resolved not to fight.
Thank you, sir. So beautiful. D, O, U, B, and T. So Duryodhana, I'm just saying it again and again so I can also register this. Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra's feelings about the war, and then comes omnious results of them not feeling some bad omens going to happen, and all the victory signs on the Pandava side. And then we have the U, what was that? The uncertainty that Arjuna was having that's going to cause because of this war, and he's bewildered with B, number 4, and T is the turning point. When I say turning point, he came to fight and he's going to turn and say, I don't want to fight. That is the turning point that's happening in Arjuna's situation, like to fight to not to fight. So that is that turning point in his decision for what he came to fight. He doesn't want, he just drops off his Gandiva and he's saying, I don't feel like fighting at this point. So that is the whole doubt I hope this is helpful as a summary for the first chapter. And before I say thank you all very much, I actually wanted to ask you all that, is there any special part that you all liked, or is there something very striking from the first chapter that any of you would like to share?
I think the striking thing is he's like any other human being. I mean, Arjuna at this point is like just a regular, ordinary person. Just the attachment, the fear, the indecision. And then you said about pass. I think this is one thing that's a little unusual. Some people don't take that pass.
Thank you, sir. That is so true. So he's showing us that we need to pause, right? Like there is a need for that reflection that he's showing us, which will help in taking the right decision. This is a very crucial situation for him in his life and the life of so many in front of him. So he is pausing, and he's just not pausing, but turning to Krishna. A super soul, Krishna is within our heart, who can only guide us during such difficult situations where nobody else can actually guide us to do what's right and what's wrong. So thank you for that reflection. And I also have a very nice reflection. Before I share, I would love to hear if anybody else has any more reflections on this first chapter.
Arjuna is a cool guy. He's very compassionate. He doesn't want to fight. That's nice. Nice character.
Nice character. We like who are nice, right? So he has that compassion. So devotee means he's very compassionate. Thank you, ma'am. So that shows that we have to have moral codes in our life. People like not because of our knowledge, not because of our possessions, but because of the niceness of heart, we can conquer people. Because that is what people love. Love is what conquers everybody. It's not our qualification that conquers. Thank you.
Can I share my thoughts?
Yes, please.
So I really like the part when Dhritarashtra had a moment thinking that why were I not born to Kunti as a son? And my daughter really liked the part when Krishna blowed the conch shell and the opposite party's feelings, right? So she really liked that part. So.
Jai, thank you so much for sharing. Yes. Is there any more others who had any verse that you read that just felt like, my goodness, what is this wonderful verse?
Hello, Harni Garu. Abhyukt was saying he felt like Arjuna sounded like weaker and weaker in the whole.
Yes, please go ahead.
No, I mean, that was his conclusion. Like Arjuna was like, he sounded like he's becoming more weak and weak with everything he's expressing.
Wonderful, wonderful. This is the highlight. Actually, he's the strongest Maharati and he is collapsing. If we can see that, who are we? Nothing in front of Arjuna. Such a strongest personality, such an arrow that he could shoot, and he's so endowed with high caliber. If he can collapse, what to speak of us? So how much more we should be taking shelter of the lessons that we are going to learn ahead from Krishna. How each answer is very important. And for Arjuna, he could just listen to the answers and apply it. For us, we listen, we hear, we actually discuss, still we have a hard time applying it, including like myself, I'm having a hard time to practice it in our life. It's a whole lifetime of understanding this Bhagavad Gita, the manual, and to apply it in our daily dealings in our life. So we have to be more vigilant and we have to kind of dive deep into this matter of understanding Bhagavad Gita and applying it in our daily lives. Thank you, Avyukt. Thank you so much. Any more reflections on this verse, on this chapter? So get that whole scene of Mahabharata in your head, and especially now focus on that first part where both the armies are coming together. So I wanted to focus on one verse as I was reading and preparing for this class today, and also in my previous studies. Do you all remember like when we have marriage celebrations in our house, especially as growing in India and as kid, I would love whenever there is a marriage in my family, that is the time all the family members we can meet. And it's a happy occasion, right? Like we, especially the children, we all look forward where we can meet our cousins, where we could meet our extended uncles, aunties, mama, mommy, atta, everybody we can get to meet. And it's all joyous, put on nice new clothes, nice food, especially like that. So it's a joyous occasion when all the family is coming to meet. But now you see here for Arjuna, this verse, when I read, he says, can somebody help me to find where is he talking about all the people that he's looking at? Somebody has to help me because I can remember the translation, but I don't remember exactly the verse.
Is it from chapter 1?
Yes, chapter 1.
He remembers everyone. So
28, chapter 1, 28.
28. Thank you. So let me go there. Yes. Drishtve mam swajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupastitam sidanti mama gatrani mukam cha parishishati. He does see there. 26. Tatra pashyat sthitam partha pitrin artha pitamahan achari matulan bratrin putran pautran sakim stata vashuran suhridaschaiva senayorubhayorapi. There, Arjuna could see within the midst of the armies of both parties his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his father-in-law and well-wishers. So when we, as kids or youth, when we went to attend marriage functions where we had our big family, it was a happy, happy occasion. And here 3 generations are coming together, and it's so sad for Arjuna. We never want to be in such a situation in life, right? When we have our big family together, we want to have a happy time. We always have memories of happy time or helping each other, or even if there were trials in the family, when we all came together, we were there, we showed that we were there for each other, even if it was a grave situation too. But here, what Arjuna is going through, what the feeling of that enmity, that kind of feeling is so grave for Arjuna. I was feeling so much for Arjuna at this point. Any more reflections does anybody else have on this chapter 1? As we are coming to an end with the summary. So one thing, if we could remember, it's about the doubt, the acronym doubt from the summary. And in my readings, actually, it has benefited me when I take a quiz or when I do summary study. It has helped me a lot. So if you would like, we also have a quiz here, and it's nothing like, it's an open book. So we don't have to worry that we're asking questions that's going to be really hard. So let me see if my computer is going to let me open this up. Okay, here we go. Could you all see my screen? Yes. So just feel randomly, it's not that like a test or anything, but it just helps us kind of a little bit of summarize or get an understanding of every bit and part of that first chapter. The first question is why Dhritarashtra had to fear of losing the battle? And do you want to give
A, 1A?
You think it's the answer A?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else has a guess?
Oh, sorry, it's not a place of pilgrimage, but
yeah, it is a place of pilgrimage. Dharmakshetra.
Dharmakshetra, it is like Dharmakshetra, right? So he
Yes.
had a fear. So first thing, he had a fear that the battle is happening in this Kurukshetra. Second thing, like once Krishna blew the conch shell, he had a fear. Third thing is like once he saw the Hanuman on the land, right?
Sorry to interrupt you. That was really nice that you're answering the whole thing from my slide, but exactly what will be your A, B, C, D? Which one would you like to lock the answer?
I would say A.
You would say A, thank you. B? Okay, let's see what the answer is.
C.
All.
Both A and B. Yes, C is the right answer. There we go. So both, it was the Dharma Kshetra and it was also virtuous by nature. Okay, number 2. What is the significance of the word Dharma Kshetre and Kurukshetre apart from their historical and Vedic importance? So tell me A, B, C, or D. It's okay. We can be wrong. Any guesses?
All of the above.
All of the above, D. Okay, you're right. The right answer, that was D. So number 3, why Duryodhana pointed out Dronacharya's mistake in relation to his disciple Drishtadyumna, the son of Drupada.
D.
D, okay.
Yeah.
I'm also feeling it's D, and yes, because he wants to make sure that they win and he doesn't be lenient on the other side. That's true. Number 4, on account of the presence of great warriors on Duryodhana's party, like Bhishma and others, what was his conclusion on the result of the battle?
A.
A or B?
A.
A, he was confident of his victory.
Yeah.
Yes, he
No, B.
his victory. Yes, because he had all these great people on his side. So he was confident. Like that's the point of Duryodhana. He has
Confident.
confidence.
He was so
No.
negative. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, he was negative, but he was confident too.
Okay.
Confident. Yeah.
After praising Bhishma as far as superior general, why asks others to support him? C. Okay, I think too it should be C. So let's see. And it is a C. Thank you. Everybody's doing good so far. So what is actually Bhishma's loud blowing of conch shells symbolized for Duryodhana?
C.
Oh, you say C. I feel like cheering like an A. Let's see who is.
Yeah, A.
Oh, it was B. It symbolized that Duryodhana had no chance of victory in the battle. Oh. Some people are
A complete twist, actually.
Number 7. Wherever Krishna is present, the dash or the blank is also present. What else is present when Krishna is present?
B.
B. Yes, all of us agree on B, goddess of fortune. Yes, that's the correct answer. So we are almost coming to the end. The chariot on which Arjuna and Krishna were seated was donated by?
Agni.
A.
So it's A. There we go.
C.
All of us are right. The fire god, Agni Dev. The next is, what are the names of Krishna and Arjuna's conch shells?
C.
C, yes.
Devadatta.
Chaitanya and Devadatta. Yes, that's the name of the conch shells. Why the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra were shattered by the sound vibration by the Pandavas' conch shell? Why did they get shattered?
B.
You say it's B. Now let me look that if it is B. Yes, because Pandavas had full confidence in Krishna and the Krishna would take care of them. Yes, that is the point. Simple questions. What was Arjuna's flag marked with?
B.
B.
Hey, everybody is B, Hanuman. Was Arjuna's chariot bearing the flag also a sign of victory?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. That's how. Kapidwaja. Wherever there is Hanuman, there is victory. Although Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, why does he carry out the orders of Arjuna? Right? Why should he do that? Both A and B, for the pleasure, and yes, and because he's a pure devotee of the Lord. Krishna is blank, which means he never fails in his blank for his blank.
C.
You say C, say B. Let's see. I say B. Okay, that is he's infallible, which means he never fails in his affection for his devotees. So his love for his devotees is amazing. Why did Arjuna ask Krishna, his chariot, to be taken to the midst of the two armies? I lost connection. Okay. So what happened here? Why did Arjuna ask Krishna, his chariot, to be taken to the midst of the two armies?
None of the above. D.
E,
C.
that's- yes.
C.
So there are many questions like this. I know that it can, some may like it and some may be like, oh my God, it gets very childish or. So this link we can share, and it is very interesting as you go on with, there are many questions like this. I think there are 20 and more, 21 questions and more. So it gives us a time and to reflect and also see how our understanding is about those verses and the summary of our reading. I hope the session was helpful. If there are any questions or any comments, do let me know.